to Scottlin Talks, bringing you less stress and more success with the power of joy. I'm Ann Scottlin, author, teacher, motivational coach, and joy advocate. We all have feelings all the time. And when they're up, they're up. And when they're down, they're down. I'm starting to sound like Dr. Seuss. But those negative feelings are so sticky and heavy and dark. It can feel very hard to escape them. Am I right? Have you experienced that? Probably, I'm sad to say. We get angry, hurt, disappointed, embarrassed, heartbroken, ashamed, and I'm sure you could add your own list of negative feelings. And when you're in them, they can feel all-consuming. They feel hard to shake, right? They seem just to swallow us up and leave us helpless and trapped within ourselves. Ugh. So, are you just a helpless victim of your negative feelings? Or is there something you can do to diffuse them? I have an awesome answer for you. Yes, you can diffuse your negative feelings. And today I'm going to share with you 4 ways to diffuse your negative feelings. Before I do that, I want to remind you to please like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Help me keep this content coming to you. I'm so excited to have all you guys listening today, and thank you for tuning in. You're welcome to join my communities on Twitter and Instagram if you haven't already. And check out my website for information about me and my new book, Live for Joy, on annscottlin.com. I am so excited to share with you today these 4 ways to diffuse your negative feelings. We all have these feelings, good, bad, negative. I have negative feelings, of course, and I have good feelings, but I also have negative feelings. In fact, why don't I share a few examples of negative feelings in my own life that I've experienced this past week? Let's just get vulnerable right out of the gate. What do you say? 1, I was feeling embarrassed. I missed an important meeting, and I'm usually very prompt. I'm usually very careful with my schedule and my meetings. I missed an important meeting. It was an honest mistake, but it was my fault, and it really embarrassed me. So embarrassment is really just a form of shame, right? So I was experiencing shame. I was also feeling mad within this last week. I was mad because a family member of mine is making what I think is a poor medical decision. It makes me mad because I love them and I want the best for them. And I think making this medical decision isn't the best for all involved. And I was frustrated. I was mad with that. So what is mad? Mad, frustration, really usually comes to some form of anger. Mad is definitely a form of anger. So I was experiencing anger. Also, this past week, I was feeling really aggravated and guilty too, actually. I felt aggravated and guilty because I'm running behind schedule on a big project, and I feel aggravated and guilty. I was feeling aggravated and guilty, which are probably a combination of the first 2 I mentioned, which is anger and shame. And for when these real things happen in life, like the small ones I just mentioned, or the big ones as they come along, I've developed a process of 4 ways to diffuse your negative feelings. You want to know what they are? All right, here they are. Number 1, ask yourself, what are the actual facts versus my story? What are the actual facts versus my story? Okay, I'll use myself as the guinea pig again. Okay, so in my first example, my story was I missed a meeting and everyone is going to think I don't care about them. They're going to blame me. Maybe they're mad and they're not going to want to work with me anymore. Embarrassed, anxious, shame. The fact is, I missed a meeting. It's unfortunate. It happens. Right? Okay, next one then, right? My story What's my story? We love our stories. We love embellishing our stories. The more we focus and obsess on our stories that feed our negative emotions, the more complex and extraordinary they become. Have you ever noticed that? We're really all really great fiction writers when it comes down to it. But okay. So my story about my family member, right? My story was my family member doesn't care about me or anyone else, just themselves. And they think being right is more important than being well and more important than their family members' comfort. That's my story. They don't care about me or anyone else. The fact, what is the fact? My family member isn't getting a medical treatment. It's their choice. My family member isn't getting a medical treatment that I think they should, and that's their choice. That's the fact. And in my last example, my story, oh, I'm a bad and irresponsible person because I'm running behind on this project. I really should punish myself by allowing feelings of shame and anger towards myself. And what's the fact? Oh, the fact is I'm behind schedule on a project. It is what it is. Life goes on. Try to do better. That's the fact. So once you understand this difference, the story versus the fact around the negative emotions you're experiencing, once you understand or admit the actual facts of your situation instead of your story with all its attached meaning and baggage, then you're ready for number 2. So let's move on to number 2. Number 2, understand that you are not your feelings. You are not your feelings. Wouldn't that be amazing? Well, you're not your feelings. How do you know? Let me ask you this. Can you observe your feelings? By that, I mean, like, can you tell if you're having a negative emotion or a positive emotion? Yeah, right. So if you are your feelings, how could you also observe your feelings? What's doing the observing? You are so much, much more than your feelings. Some of our scariest experiences in life happen when we start believing that we are our feelings, because then we feel trapped. We feel trapped by our feelings. Negative feelings can feel like an anchor, a dark anchor that feels so strong when you start to believe you are the anchor rather than the captain. It can feel so strong that you start to believe you're the anchor rather than the captain of the boat. You see what I'm saying? The captain observes the anchor, right? And he chooses what to do with it. He decides when to drop it and when to keep the boat still, and he decides when to raise it and get the boat moving. He makes these choices to preserve the well-being of the boat and keep it in tip-top shape to move forward for a successful voyage ahead. You are the captain of your boat, not the anchor. You are not your feelings. You can observe your feelings and you can choose the thoughts that will help you diffuse your negative feelings. And I'm going to share with you how to do that. When you understand this, that when we all understand that we are not our feelings, I am not my feelings, you are not your feelings. When you understand that, then I encourage you to try this mantra that I have used to help me diffuse negative feelings in my own life. This mantra is 3 short statements. Are you ready? Here it is. 3 short statements. I am not my feelings. I observe my feelings. They do not get to control me. I am not my feelings. I observe my feelings. They do not get to control me. And how did I use this mantra that I have used for some time in the 3 examples from my own life this last week? Well, I repeat it, and then I integrate the feeling that the negative feeling into the sentence, the feeling that I'm trying to diffuse, like this. I missed a meeting and I felt shame, right? So remember, the mantra is, I am not my feelings. I observe my feelings. They do not get to control me. So I would say, I am not shame. I observe the shame I feel. Shame does not get to control me. My family member is making a medical choice I disagree with. I feel anger. And the mantra, I am not anger. I am not anger. I observe the anger I feel. Anger does not get to control me. And of course, the last one, I'm behind on my project. I feel aggravation. I feel guilty. And remember, the main mantra is, I am not my feelings. I observe my feelings. They do not get to control me. So I would say, I am not aggravation or guilt. I observe the aggravation and guilt I feel, but aggravation and guilt do not get to control me. You see how this mantra works? And it works best in conjunction with number 3 in my ways to diffuse negative feelings. Number 3, ask yourself, what is the payoff for staying stuck in these negative feelings? What is the payoff for staying stuck in these negative feelings? There's a payoff? You'd be surprised, right? Have you ever thought about that? I'll give you some examples, right? Ask yourself, but what is the payoff of feeling trapped in my negative feelings? What is the payoff of feeling trapped in my negative emotions? Is there a payoff? Well, okay, I'll bring it right back to my real life examples. What is the payoff if I keep feeling shame about missing the meeting? The payoff is I get to continue to feel the shame. I get to focus on myself and what others think about me. Me, poor me. What is the payoff if I diffuse these negative feelings? I get to take responsibility for what happened and accept the consequences. Be open and honest. I'm ready to drop the shame, right? What is the payoff if I keep feeling angry about this family member's poor medical decision, right? Don't want to go back to that. Because the payoff to continue feeling angry is I get to be right. They get to be wrong. Me again. Are you noticing a pattern here? Now, the payoff, if I diffuse these negative feelings, if I diffuse this anger that I was experiencing, is what? I honor the other person's free choice, which honestly is very important to me because I believe I should be able to make my free choices for myself. I'm ready to drop the anger. The payoff just isn't worth being miserable and trapped and stuck in my emotions. And the payoff, if I keep feeling aggravated toward myself or guilty for being behind on a project, the payoff to continue feeling aggravated and guilty is I get to punish myself and self-sabotage for being a loser. The payoff is I get to keep feeling aggravated. I get to keep feeling guilty and punish and self-sabotage myself. Do you see, by the way, how much this is ego-driven? Punish me, sabotage myself. I'm a loser. Me, poor me. Some people don't like hearing that, but there's a lot of ego involved. You can disagree with me. That's okay. I'm a victim of my own feelings. I can't help my feelings. I suck. I've been there. We've all been there. And what's the payoff if I diffuse this aggravation and guilt I was feeling about not getting my project, that I was behind, not getting it done in time? I get to realize this is the payoff if I diffuse it, that every project is a learning curve, that some are harder than others, right? And you know what? I can be proud of myself for doing great work. I can create accountability for myself going forward to help me catch up and meet the next deadline. That could actually be fun. I'm moving in the right direction, and I can be proud of me for not allowing myself to get bogged down in negative feelings. And now for my last point, but let's review the 3 ways I've already mentioned to diffuse your negative feelings. Number 1 was, what are the actual facts versus my story? Number 2, Understand that you are not your feelings. Number 3, what is the payoff? The pros and cons. And now, number 4, let joy be your advocate and practice a new kind of inner dialogue. Let joy be your advocate. Sometimes we need an advocate. Sometimes we need an advocate in our inner dialogue. And the amazing news really is that you can be your own advocate. You can be your own advocate for joy. You may need to give your inner dialogue a little tune-up. We develop such a habit of beating ourselves up in our own mind, right? We beat ourselves up and our inner dialogue, our inner self-talk just becomes an abusive, toxic environment. Not good. No wonder we experience negative feelings so often. But when you let joy become your advocate, the job of your inner dialogue is not to abuse you. It is to make choices based on what brings you the most joy, to weigh those pros and cons of drowning in negative feelings or moving on in a healthy, proactive way in experiencing joy. The job of your inner dialogue when joy is your advocate is to make choices based on what brings you joy instead of making choices to punish yourself and others all the time. When you start letting joy become your advocate, you actually begin to learn a new language, a whole new kind of inner dialogue, really, a healthier one, a happier one that will help you reduce your negative feelings and increase your joy of living. And what if you say, Anne, I'm so miserable, I could never even do that? Well, you can. I've been in some very dark places in my life. I've told some of my stories and episodes in the past, and I can tell some more in the future, but not for today. But what I can say is I've been in some very dark places, which is really what gave me a passion to pursue living from a place of joy and being a joy advocate for myself. And from experience, I can say it is possible. It is possible to make joy your advocate, to start a new kind of self-talk, a new kind of inner dialogue. But it's a choice. That it is. It is a choice. You can choose to let negative feelings completely consume you, to become your identity. You can choose to become attached to your hate, your anger. Become attached to your feelings that you've been wronged, your guilt, your shame, attached to your heartbreak. This can be your identity. Or you can choose to get free. Choose to get free, to advocate for your own joy. Life is short, you guys. Choose to live in your joy. Ask yourself, what are the actual facts versus my story? Understand that you are not your feelings, and use my mantra if you like. I am not my feelings. I observe my feelings. They do not get to control me. And ask yourself, what is the payoff? What are the pros and cons of staying stuck in this negativity or moving on to a more joyful place? And finally, let joy be your advocate and practice a new kind of inner dialogue. And if you use some of these processes to diffuse negative feelings when they come up, I would love to hear about it. As always, you know I love hearing from you. So please send me a message in the notes or on social media or on my website. And I do read them. And I have one today. I have a shout out today from my friend Lewis. Hi, Lewis. You're my friend now. After listening to my last episode, which was about never give up, or is it time for a change? Lewis from Madrid sent me a message. Thanks, Anne. I shared this information with several people, starting with my 15-year-old daughter. Small tidbits make it easier to swallow. Thank you again. Well, hi, Lewis. Thank you for sending that message. I appreciate it. I'm so glad you found some useful information in my last episode that you could share with friends and family and your daughter. Maybe she can tune in one of these days. Tell her hi from me. And I love Madrid. I was there last year for about a week. Absolutely enjoyed it. A beautiful city, Madrid, Spain. Thank you for sending that message. And the rest of you, I want to give you shout outs on the show. So please keep writing me in. I'll pick at least one every week to share. So thanks again to all of you for joining me here on Scottlin Talks. And please like and subscribe. Follow my daily posts on Twitter and Instagram at @AnnScottlin. And I just want to thank you for being here. And I send you joy. And if you're experiencing any negative feelings in your life this week, I hope you will try some of these ways to diffuse them. See you next time.